Hi guys, my name's Jesse and my colleague Mustafa discussed quality management and communications for the project. I will finalize the presentation, discuss project risk, what went well and what didn't throughout the project, and give an overall summary. So first let's discuss project risk and obstacles. First off, we discussed it in previous videos, but the one big risk was getting ISO certification and regulatory compliance. So the group decided to get EU regulatory compliance because that was the most stringent compliance, and US and Canada were a bit more lax, but if they were able to meet the EU regulations, that they could easily get the Canadian and US ones. As well, they went with getting ISO certification for helping leverage and ease manufacturing capabilities throughout the world. As well, inherent in this project, for the steel company's perspective, there was risk involved in pivoting to a different industry, pivoting to the medical sector. So yeah, with any pivot like this, you're always going to have some risks involved. Finally, there would be risks involved with getting this onboarding the stakeholders from the EU, from the UK and Ireland. That was a very big make or break point for the whole project. If they weren't involved, or if they weren't interested in investing in the project right then and there, the project would have been over. But luckily they were. And finally, any just standard product development issues that come along with any product development project. So moving on, what went well with the project? Overall, it was considered a success. So in general, with all of that, it was a well done project. They were able to identify the business opportunity very well. That was in large part because of the discussions they initially had with the stakeholders in the UK. They were able to identify the products, 3 products in fact, that they were able to identify. As well, throughout the planning stage, it was done very well. They were able to assign project leaders for specific areas, regulatory compliance, financing, and etc. They were able to design, test, and iterate on all the different product designs, and they were also able to ensure that it was easily manufactured with that ISO certification. It enabled them to be able to go into different markets in different countries around the world, get a partnership with a manufacturer so they were able to produce it in that area. As well, they were able to meet, as discussed earlier, all of the standards and regulations. So a couple of more things that went well with the project now. They were able to identify all the main components and groups, the teams involved in the project, financing, accounting, R&D, etc. Specifically for the marketing and Salesforce side of the project, they were involved early on and able to plan and organize themselves. So once manufacturing was started, they were able to initiate their side of the project and get the market and customers growing. And finally, from a finance perspective, it was done very well. 100% of the R&D was refunded, which is a very big cost. So what didn't go well? There were some obstacles that were just unexpected, as with any project. A big one is in terms of personnel, the lead engineer had to go on disability leave, which is a very large obstacle for them. But luckily there was extremely good note-taking, and everyone in the engineering side of it knew and had a clear goal and design on what the project should be. So they were able to recover, but still that was a big hiccup for them. And as well, they overestimated the interest in the US market. So they thought that the US market would be extremely interested in it, and to some degree they were. But in discussion with the US market and US customers, they said, this product is great, except I have no regulatory need, no one's pushing me to buy it. Why would I buy something more expensive when what I have now works just as well? So because of this issue, there was no regulatory enforcement pushing the customers to get a more expensive and costly product, they didn't want to spend the money, basically. This will change over time. There's already discussion of enforcing more strict regulations, but as of right now, since there's no push, there's no real market for it in the US. They estimated there'd be a larger one, so they produced inventory to meet that estimated demand. However, it didn't exist, so there was a large surplus of inventory for a while. So overall, the project was considered a success. It was on time, on budget, and there were no major communication issues. This was due in large part to the fact that the project leads and the people involved in the project were seasoned. They've done several projects before, and they were able to use their expertise in this project. As well, something that went wrong, as discussed, entering the US market, there was overestimation on their interest in the product. And finally, some recent developments in discussion with the project leaders we had. They found that there is a very large market or growing interest in the Middle East. So now they're focusing their efforts on expanding that area of the project. Thank you very much for your time.